sit wherever. Okay. Yeah. How would that go?
It was bad.
Bro, you just pulled over because it make sure you have your notes. You need to notice today for sure.
I mean, it's in airline, huh?
Right.
Because I forgot. Well, I was in the street lights, so I couldn't tell. And then I got on the road and I was like, oh. I was on. But I didn't even notice the 4 people in my back seat, so.
Who was over there? Taylor, Cassie?
Taylor, Cassie, Maddie, and Maddie's kid.
We changed it. Who was in the front with you?
Nick.
Oh. Why'd you go in the room with Tyler? Why did you bring like Tyler with you?
Because Tyler.
You probably came to Carly, asked me what I want for Christmas. I don't know. I don't want it.
Why don't you ever talk a lot?
No,
I'm getting both of you something, but I already know what I'm getting for you.
I don't know.
Oh, you did make it because you saw when I was like, perfect.
I like white things.
I have more. Like this little hat. Okay. You're here?
I do my phone. I just don't
I don't think you're gonna find it at no. How was shopping? Oh, this is a well, we gotta find up. I'd rather go over the battery.
I'll find out. Okay, today. Obviously you can sit wherever you like today. We're going to continue on with the notes that we started on Friday. Talking about angles, talking about, vocab terms. We've entered chapter 3. Now my goal today is just to do a few notes. Tomorrow, we're going to look at our test that we took. Hopefully everyone will be able to have taken it by then. I want, raise your hand if you did not finish or take that test. I know Ryan hasn't yet. Okay, so at some point, I want you to take either today or tomorrow. So make sure you're mentally prepared for that. Okay? Because I want it done before we go to Thanksgiving break. It's too long of a break. Come back. Okay, so then I'm hoping tomorrow that we can take a look at those and scores and stuff so you can see how you did. It may not be that in-depth review like we always do where I go through every question, but it might be just one of those things where I show you your scores and then you turn back in. All right, but today we're just going to finish up our PowerPoint here today that we started on Friday. The PowerPoint from Friday should be online by today. I think it's still being posted online, so I don't know how long that's going to take. So it's up to Google how long it's going to take to post that. All right. Hey. Let's see if it pops up here. Good. All right. So up here, we're going to go through a couple of vocab terms, just do a quick review of what we talked about on Friday. Fridays, the PowerPoint will be online, hopefully at some point today with the video that we did from Friday. So if you're gone or you weren't quite paying attention, at least this will be online. This is the same kind of preview that we did. This is the title of chapter 3, what we're going into. It's called parallel versus perpendicular. The big idea from Friday was knowing what this word meant. Parallel. That was one of our main vocab words you had no walking out of there. Plus what a transversal is. That was kind of the title of the section. So again, our goal was on Friday and today, our same goals are to talk about Lines, know what a line is, know what a plane is. So, but these are examples of lines. They can cross, they can do whatever you want. So I have line C here, I have line B, and I have line A. Okay, so we have a bunch of lines there. Now obviously you can see that they made a bunch of angles when they intersected. Well, those are types of lines. Now we talk about planes. Planes can be anything. The book tends to show planes as like weird flat surfaces like this. Here's what you need to realize about planes and lines. They don't end. So the idea is that these keep going in both directions without limits. That's why they have arrows. Planes here, this flat surface, you don't actually look at the walls. There is actually no edges to this thing. They continue. It's an infinite flat surface. So, so those are examples from the book that I pulled from. Some people are always thrown off by that. But again, we went through the definitions of these two. We've had the definitions of these two words since chapter 1, section 1. The very first day, like August 22nd when we were here. So that was a very, very, very long time ago. Okay? So that was a couple of the words that we talked about on Friday. We also went into, okay, how do these words apply to like the word parallel? So we can have parallel lines or parallel planes. Now we already have the example of parallel planes here. This is the idea of parallel planes where they're not touching. That's like the definition. Planes that don't touch. There was no other types. They either intersect or they don't. That's the concept, right? But then there's this idea that we could have parallel lines as well, which would be like something like this, where on this picture, these were the parallel lines. That's what we talked about on Friday. Okay, they usually use that little red arrow to signify that. Now, does anyone know the notation for parallel? Yeah. It's like an equal sign, but straight up and down, right? So, like, if I were to say that these two planes are parallel, I'd write plane A is parallel to plane B. That was what we talked about. All right. Questions, comments on the symbol of parallel, those tall vertical slashes. You can use those for lines as well, like, you know, line JK there, it's parallel, those two bars, to line LN. And then the other word that we talked about on Friday was, we talked about this idea of like skew. Now, skew applies to only lines. Planes cannot be skewed. Lines that are skew are lines that go different directions, but they don't touch either, and they're not parallel. So the idea is that, like, this idea, these lines are intersecting. These lines here are parallel, but skew would be from like a three-dimensional picture like this. And this is what we talked about on Friday, was that certain lines on this picture are actually skew. And the ones that we talked about on Friday, when you guys come up with a bunch of examples of it, would be like line DC here, this one in the front, kind of going sideways, and then this line in the back, FG, where they're like this. They're spaced apart, they're going different directions. One's going up and down, one's going side to side. Those are skewed. They're not parallel. Parallel is like this. That'd be like these two lines, or the ones in the back. They're going the same direction. They're spaced. But skew is when they go different directions, but they don't touch. Okay, any questions with the words from Friday? Now, obviously, if you want the more in-depth, watch the video online. Look at the PowerPoint that we talked about. It has all the definitions on there. Hopefully, that'll be online today. I'm still posting it. Okay, now, the last thing we talked about Friday was we introduced this idea of angles. Like a ton of different types of angles when you have lines that intersect, lines that are parallel, that type of thing. So like you can see it up here. There's a ton of angles on that picture just because all the lines are crossing. So that's what we started discussing on Friday. That's what I want to continue with today. This idea of like, how does this work? Okay, questions, comments on what we started on Friday. Okay, now, we're going to continue with this idea today, this idea of angles, and at some point I'm going to have you break off into little groups. Okay, so like if you want to stay at your tables that you're at, that's fine. If you want to move around a little bit later, that's fine too. But we'll get started at a certain point. But right now, what I want to do, let's do a quick review of the names of the angles. I know this is going to be fast. But I want to talk about the names of these angles. That way you kind of know what you're doing, especially for those who are gone or weren't quite paying attention. So let's start with this idea of of the different words we're going to be talking about today, especially when we go to group work. Okay, so these apply to parallel lines or really any type, so even ones that intersect. But the words that we talked about was like the word transversal. The word transversal, according to Friday and according to your textbook, it's a line, ray, or segment, could be any type of line, that intersects two or more other lines. So on this picture, I have a ton of transversals here. So like the main one we really talked about Friday was like this line T here. This line T is a transversal because it's a line and it passed through two others. You see that? So that's a transversal. I could even call it line R. Line R here is a transversal. It went through two other lines, V and T. So this is a transversal. They all are, but that's what we talked about. Transversals make a bunch of angles, as you can see here. I numbered off, 12 of them. Okay, we talked about interior angles. Interior angles, so I'll get to that slide here in a minute. They're angles on the inside, that means interior. But how we know what interior is, they're squeezed between the walls. They're squeezed between two lines. Okay, we'll get to another slide that will show us that. I have that slide that had the color coding. We talked about exterior angles, angles on the outside, exterior. And again, I'll get to that slide where it shows that color coded picture. We talked about alternate angles. There was two types. We'll go through those today. Same side angles, which on the slideshow we talked about same side interior. There is exterior as well. We'll get to those. And then we ended with corresponding on Friday, correct? That's where we ended at. Okay, let's go through those slides really fast, just to make sure like the people that were gone know what those words mean. Now obviously I already talked about transversal, no worries there, but again if you need it, we can always talk about it that it's a line or segment that intersects two or more others. So this would be the transversal. It's a line, but it's hitting two others. Okay, so the transversal in this picture is line T. Okay, questions with transversals. Okay, that's a big deal today. You need to know which one's the transversal. Because if you know which one's the transversal, now you can talk about which ones are the interior angles, which ones are the exterior angles. Because the transversal has to touch all of them. Has to touch the angles that we're talking about. That's a big deal. Okay. Now, let's get to these interior angles. This is the first category that we talked about Friday. They're angles on the inside or interior of the horizontal lines or vertical lines. Now, the picture I picked here is horizontal lines, so their line's going to go sideways. So the interior angles here are the angles on the inside, and I color-coded this. So these are the ones on the inside. So it's angles 3, 4, 5, and 6. Those are interior angles. They're squeezed between the two walls. Now, what we're going to eventually learn throughout the chapter, like we talked about right, is that these angles are related to each other. Somehow there's a relationship there. That, you know, there's certain angles, and there's a formula that will help you find one if you have the other. Now, we also talked about exterior. Exterior angles are on the outside of the two lines. So, like if I give you a picture here, here's my two lines, my horizontal lines again. The angles on the outside are out here. So that'd be like angles 1, 2, 7, and 8. Those are exterior angles, and again, eventually, in here we will eventually remember there's a formula that will help us find 1, 2, 7, and 8 if you have one or the other. This may be one of those postulates. Okay, questions on the two types. You know, at some point when we do group work today, when I move you around to like try out some of these problems as examples, some of you will be in a group that you'll have to find an exterior angle on a certain picture. That's all you have to do, find which ones are the exterior on that picture. And then we'll move around and you'll try different. So that's, we're going to get some hands-on practice today, moving around. Okay, alternate angles. Now there's two types we talked about. This is getting a little more specific. Alternate angles are on the alternating sides of the transversal. So the alternating sides of the transversal. Now we talked about there's a ton of different types. But if, you know, in this picture, alternate angles, so if this is the transversal right here. The alternate angles here are the ones on, one angle's on the top, one angle's on the bottom. And you can pick any pair that you want. As long as that one's on the top, one's on the bottom. That's alternating sides of that transversal. But then we got way more specific. What we talked about is for these angles, there was two types. There's specifically two types. There was interior angles, alternate interior. So on this picture, here's the transversal. Which ones are the interiors? Yeah. These four right here, 2, 6, and 3, and 7. These are the interior angles. So alternating interior are ones that are on the inside, one's top, one's bottom of that transversal, but they can't touch either. So the examples that we talk about in class is like angles 3 and 6, and 2 and 7. Those are alternate interiors. Now we also talked about alternate exterior. Those are the ones on the outside. So those angles would be like 1 and 5, 4 and 8. Those are on the outside of the two lines that are kind of sandwiched together. Alternating are the ones that are on the outsides. They don't touch. So that would be examples like 1 and 8 and 5 and 4. So 1 and 8, those are alternate exterior. And 4 and 5, those are alternate exterior. And obviously, now, since it's alternate, just random alternate, there's a ton of different examples of them, but the idea is that these are the main two categories. These are very specific. Okay, questions on what we talked about Friday? That, I believe that was getting to the more difficult ones. They're getting way more specific. Okay, now we also talked about same side interior. Same side interior is angles that are on the same side of the transversal and interior. So we talked about on this picture that, you know, these are the interior angles again, 2, 3, 6, and 7. But the ones that are on the same side are angles like 2 and 3. Those are on the same side and are interior. Versus 6 and 7. Those are same side interior. We also talked about those same side exterior, the ones on the same side but the outsides, like 1 and 4, 5 and 8. Okay, questions? Okay, then the last category, I believe, was corresponding. This is where we finished on Friday. So corresponding angles are the angles on the same side of the transversal, kind of like same side interior, right? But there's more stipulations. One had to be interior, one had to be exterior, and in the last situation, they couldn't touch. They had to be non-adjacent. So this is by far the hardest category. You guys actually figured this out pretty quick. So same side of the transversal, one's interior, one's exterior, non-adjacent. So here's my picture again. This is the transversal again. So I had to pick ones on the same side, so I either pick the top or the bottom, wherever one you would want to be comfortable with. I had to pick one interior, one exterior. So I'm going to use the top row. And then you had to pick ones that are not touching. So like my example would have been like number 1 here, that's exterior angle, and angle 3, that's interior. They're on the same side of the transversal and they're not touching, 1 and 3. Or I could have picked 2 and 4. And then the examples like picking the bottom row that have been 5 and 7, those are corresponding. One's exterior, one's interior, they're not touching. And then 6 and 8. So then we listed those all. Okay, questions with corresponding. That was by far the hardest category because there was like 3 stipulations that you had to pick. Okay, good. So here's our goal today. What we're going to do is we're going to do a bunch of examples where we're going to get into finding certain angles. I want you to get in groups right now. So if you want to move around, get to a certain group, you want to work with somebody specific, try not to be by yourself. So like Hannah, try to go with a group right now if you can. If you want to stay there, that's fine. That's up to you. If you want to stay over there, that's fine, Lucy. So if you want to move around, that's fine. Okay? But I want you to get in groups if you want. If you want to stay where you're at, fine. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to assign your group to find a specific angle, to identify a very, very specific angle for that picture. So like your group might be like, oh, you're just finding interior angles. Or, oh, your group is just finding exterior angles. Or maybe your corresponding angles. But the big thing is, when you look at your pictures, you have to know which one's the transversal. Like, that's the big deal. If you don't know where the transversal is, you don't know which angles I'm talking about. So I have to tell you a specific transversal there. Okay? All right. So does everyone have their groups? Okay. All right. So no one's moving around. That's fine. I figured. Okay. So here you go. Here's your guys' group. Here's your guys' group. Here's your group. Okay. Here. Oh, here's the other one. Okay. got 2, right? Perfect. So I'm dropping on the ground. Alright. Good. Everyone's got a group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good. Alright, here we go. So now everyone's got a group. Okay, so here's your picture. So remember, your goal on your little group is to find that specific angle, that type of angle, for this picture I'm about to show you. Okay? Now, the big thing is you got to wait, because I need to tell you which one I want you to talk about. So the idea is I need to tell you which one's the transversal. That way you know which angles to pick from. Okay, so this first one will be an example, and then we'll eventually move around. Okay? All right. So we're going to use these for lines. Any type, doesn't have to be parallel. So here's my first picture. I'm going to go back to that original picture. The transversal I want to discuss on this picture. The transversal on this picture, I want to use transversal T. Transversal T. Okay, so this is our transversal. So if that's your transversal, the only angles you're allowed to pick from are these what? 6? These 6 angles. You're not allowed to give me any of the bottom ones, because I'm not talking about that transversal. I'm just talking about the top one. Does that make sense right now? Okay, so now that we have that, okay, so now that you know which one's your transversal, your group, you're either doing interior angles, exterior, a specific type of alternate, specific type, if you can, and then same side interior or same side exterior, and then corresponding. All right, I'm going to give you about a minute. Discuss amongst your group, because obviously every group's different. Figure out your type of angle right now. Okay? So just give me your pair. If you don't know one, maybe it doesn't have one, know that too. Maybe you got to explain why you can't find one. Maybe you don't have enough numbers up there. Remember, you don't have to be shy because no one in this room has your group. So. Okay, about 20 more seconds here, so figure out your group. I'm going to call on each group specifically, and so your group will have to tell me what angles you guys were talking about. That way we're going to see if you're right or wrong. Okay? Remember, this is just practice. This is our first round. I want to see how you do. Okay, here we go. So, let's start with the first group. Raise your hand if you're my interior angle group. Okay, so right in the middle of the floor here. All right, so remember, we're only using these angles. Now, the reason why I told you that this was your transversal, so you can only use 1 through 6. Which angles are interior? 5, 2, and 3. Okay, these are the interior angles right here. These angles right here. The reason why those are interior, they're squeezed between the 2 walls. The two lines that are like making a sandwich, these are the interior angles. All right, any questions with those interior angles? Now again, why that's important to know that is because if your group had like same side interior, so which group is same side interior? Is there any group? Okay, then your guys' group should only have picked from 2, 3, and 5, and whatever that blank was. Make sense? Like those are the only angles you could have used. Okay? Alright, So that was good. Nicely done. All right. Is there an exterior group in the room? All right. So you guys. Okay. So let me get rid of the circle now. We know which angles to pick from. Which angles were the exterior? 1, 4, and 6. These are the exterior angles. They're on the outside of the sandwich. So that was good. Now, if your group in here, so if your group was the same side exterior group, which one is that? Is there a same side exterior? Okay. No, that's alternate. We're same side exterior. No one has it? Is that weird one in the back? Is that the same side exterior? Well, if that blank group is back there, they can only pick from those 3 angles, those 4 angles. The 1, blank, 4, 6. Okay? Those would be same side exterior. Okay? Alright, we good so far? Alright, so that's not bad. So now we need to get to these alternates now. Now alternates. Now there's 2 groups in this room that have alternate angles. There's alternate interior, alternate exterior. So alternate interior. Is that your guys' group back there? Okay. So alternate interior, please. Give me at least 1 pair that's alternate and they're interior. 3 and 5. These are alternating interior. Why? They're interior, duh. And they're alternating sides of the transversal, and they don't touch each other. So that's good. Okay, now, if you had, let's say there was a number in the blank here. Let's say this is number 13, then 2 and 13 would be alternating interior together. Whatever that is. Okay, that's good. Alternate exterior, I believe that's this group right up here. Okay, give me a pair of alternate exterior. 1 and 6. These are alternate exterior. They're alternating sides of the transversal, they're on the outside. And then if there was a number, let's say this is number like 14 here, then it'd be 4 and 14, the alternate exterior. They can't touch, they have to be alternating sides. Okay, any questions with alternate exterior? Okay, that's good so far for ours. Okay, now do I have a group that's same side interior in here? Okay, so same side interior. 2 and 3. Yep. So let me pick a new one here. So 2 and 3. These are same side interiors. They're on the inside of the 2 sandwich lines, R and S. They're on the same side of the transversal T. Now if we did have this number, I think I said earlier this is like number 13. These would be same side interior as well. Whatever those two are. Okay, that's good. Same side exterior people. Do we have any of those? Is that group? Is there a same side exterior at all? Okay, so same side exterior. That would be, so same side exterior would be these 2. Those are same side exterior, 1 and 4. Because they're on the same side of the transversal, they're exterior. And then, I think I said earlier this is like angle 14, and 6 and 14 the same side exterior with each other. Okay, now for the hard one. So, who is my corresponding? All right, good. You guys got the top one now. Okay, for corresponding, I need at least 1 pair of angles that are corresponding. Good. 1 and 3. Okay, that's good. Why?
Because they're on the same side of the transversal.
Check.
They're non-adjacent.
Non-adjacent, not touching. And?
And then 1 is interior and 1 is exterior.
Perfect. You nailed all 3 definitions. One's interior, one's exterior, they're not touching, and they're on the same side of the transversal. Do you have another pair?
5 and 6.
5 and 6. That could work as well. Okay, because that fits the same definition. One's interior, one's exterior, same side of the transversal, they're not touching, and is there one last pair? 2 and 4. The ones I didn't put arrows to. That was good. Alright, questions, comments on any of those? Okay, I want you to take your little card, and I want you to rotate it 2 people. So that means this group, if we're going like clockwise, so clockwise, your guys' group would hand here, you guys would hand there, so you guys are like in between those 2 groups. So hand it 2 people, so 2 groups. So this one will go 2 spots, this one will go 2 spots. You hand it over. 2 spots, move around.
Eventually it'll go there.
And then let it go here. And this one gets 2 people, so you guys get this one. Oh, you get this one. Alright.
Oh.
Alright. Everyone's got a new card. Yes? Hopefully it made sense. Jumping to, I need to rearrange the tables. Okay. Okay, do we have the name of the game now? We understand it. Okay. Same thing again. Now, our transversal this time. Our transversal is letter S. Is line S. This is our transversal. So that's our transversal. So that should tell you which angles to pick from. That's all I'm going to tell you. So if your group on your card has a certain thing, like interior, exterior, or alternating, or whatever, you need to figure out your angles with that as your transversal now, letter S. That should tell you something. This is where you need to really discuss which angles you can pick from. Okay, I'll give you about 30 more seconds here.
You should go. It's a home game.
When's the first home game?
What?
When's the first home game?
Tomorrow.
Oh,
Just girls.
who do they play?
Both age. Boys will play them, I think.
JV and varsity?
JV and varsity. Start at 6. Alright, hey. Okay, do we need more time? Alright, now, can some brave group tell me why was it important to know that we have transversal S? Okay. Somebody want to just venture it out? Throw it out there if you have. Don't be shy. Okay, now what angles can we pick from? Nope.
Well, no, you couldn't pick from.
Yeah, good. Alright, so you're on the right track, right? These are the angles you can pick from. By having that transversal S, those are the 7 angles you can pick from, or 8 angles if you include the blank. Okay, so if you picked from like 1, 2, or 5, or 7 and 10, you're wrong.
Wrong.
Wrong. Big time. Alright, so that means you got to pick from those others. So if you need to make a fix, I'll give you 30 seconds to make a fix. Make a fix if you need to. There's the only 8 you can pick from. All right, hey, calm down. Okay, all right, I need my interior angle people, right here. Okay, give me a pair of interior angles, or just all of them, what are they? 6, 8, 9. Hey, no talking. These are your interiors. That was good. Nicely done. Those are your interiors, including the blank. Let's call that angle 13. I think that's what I called it earlier. So 13, 6, 8, 9. Those 4 angles are the interiors. The reason why I know they're interior, they're squeezed between the 2 walls. Just knowing that these are the 2 walls and this is the transversal this time. Okay? All right, where are my exterior people at? Do we have exterior angles this time? Or are they at that weird random table?
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind the exterior angle. If there was a group back there, they would say 3, 4, 11, and 12. Those are the ones on the outside, the ones that didn't circle. Okay? All right. That's good to know. We need to know that because that will help you find these other ones. Okay, where's my alternate interior people? Okay, alternate interior people. What do we have for alternate interior? 8 and 6. That's basically the only pair we have. These would be alternate interior. They're not touching. They're inside. They're alternating sides of the transversal. If there was the angle 13 here, you could have said 13 and 9, but we don't have that. Okay? All right. Let's move on. Alternate exterior people. Okay, that group. What do we got?
Okay, 3 and 12 and 4 and 11.
Good. Those are your pairs. 3 and 12, and then 4 and 11. They're alternating sides of the transversal. They're not touching each other. That's good. And they're exterior. Okay, that was very nice. Same side interior. Where's that group at? Okay, same side interior. What do we got? 6 and 9. That's our only pair we have. These are on the same side of the transversal. They're interior. Now, if we did have another pair like 13 here, 13 8. Those would be same side interior. Okay, if we had it, you didn't need to put that. Okay, all right. What about same side exterior people? Okay, group in the middle. What do we got?
4, 12, 3, 11.
Good. 4 and 12. That's a pair of same side exterior, and 3 and 11. You're absolutely right. Those are same side exterior. Okay, now the hard group. Where's my last group at? Corresponding. You guys are the tough ones. I need a pair of corresponding, please.
4 and 9.
4 and 9. Good. There's one. Now why?
Because there's one on the interior and one on the
Good. Check one. One's interior, one's exterior. Good. Keep going. Same side of the transversal. And last check. Not touching. They're not adjacent. That's perfect. Now there's a bunch of other pairs. Do you guys have any other pairs? 3 and 8, 6 and 12, and then blank and 11. Whatever that is, the 13 and 11. Whatever. Okay, that was good. Those are great examples of corresponding angles. Okay. All right. Is there any questions or concerns about what we've done here so far? Okay. Last example today. So let's move our groups around. So take your little card, pass it around. Let's go just one spot now. One spot. So this group should pass to here. This group passes here. There goes there. That group should pass to the blank table. Blank table comes over. There you go. That goes to that table. Sure. There you go. Oh, you got one? Have they got one? Yeah. I don't know. All right. There you go. All right, now, hey, look at your card. Hopefully, do you have the same one you started with?
No.
Good. That's all I want to make sure of. Okay, last example here today. Let's pick our transversal as letter V. So line V here, that's our transversal. So line V, that's our transversal. Okay. So answer the same questions for your group for that picture. This is our last example of today. You have 1 minute. 1 minute only.
Alright. 10, 12, 9.
Yeah.
I want to like right and I was like, oh, I love it. And I thought like, oh, I was coming way after this.
10 more seconds here. All right, you guys should have your angles picked, your pairs now. I'm going to call on you randomly like I did before. And, all right, so first group, interiors. Where are my interior angle people, or is there no group? All right, perfect. So, we got the easy group first. All right, so if B is our angle, which angles are the or if B is our transversal, which ones are interior angles? 7, 8, 11. So, she's quick. 7, 8, 11. Okay. All right. Next group, exterior people. Do we have an exterior people? Okay. Exterior.
10, 9,
10, 9, and 12. Those are the ones on the outside of the two lines. That's good. So 10, 9, and 12, that's exterior people. Alternate interior people. Middle group. 7, 11. That's the only pair we have. Now, if we knew what this number was, then it would be alternate interior, be 8, and whatever this number is. Okay? All right. Alternate exterior people. Do we have those? Okay. Alternate exterior. Give me a pair. 9 and 10. That's the only pair we have. If we knew what this other blank was, you can pick that number and 12. Those would be alternate exterior. Okay. Same side interior people. Okay. Same side interior. 7, 8. Now, if we had another pair, if we knew what this number was, here, we could go that in 11. That's same side interior. What about same side exterior people? Is that random group in the back? No worries about that. Same side exterior would be 10 and 12. Okay. And last group, corresponding people. 7 and 9. 10 and 11. Okay. So 7 and 9. Those one's interior, one's exterior. They're on the same side of the transversal. Okay. I'm going to collect my little piece of paper here. Hopefully that made sense to you. Hopefully you got some practice with that. Okay, tomorrow we'll probably do one more round of this, and then I'm going to free loose on some homework, and hopefully we can look at our test tomorrow. If you have not taken it, you need to schedule a time with me.
I hope I go today.
So I'm going to done before we leave for Thanksgiving break.
I'm gonna go tomorrow or today. No. Well, I guess I'd rather go today too, so I can get it done and over with.
Would you guys never believe me?
Where are we getting your seats on now?
We have what?
You get your seats on now?
No, this is just kind of a random seating arrangement. You can sit wherever you like.
Yeah.
Conversation spots?
Yeah.
Now that does mean you need to sit next to people that will keep you honest during class. And you're not going to just jack around.
Oh, I would never.
That's me.
Hey, we got everything done last time, Ward.
I didn't ask for that.
What do you mean?
I want to keep you honest. You know, take people that you're going to talk to.